Welcome everyone. Hello, have a good morning to the ones that are on the other side of the evening, and good night maybe. We hope you're all doing well, and thank you for taking the time for joining the session today. There are still many people coming in, so I will just give it a minute for people to be here now. And as you may know, I will just new people. We are having those conversation cafe spaces for providing spaces for our members to present their projects, activities, or the challenges that they're facing. And we are so proud to be able to help Trive Uganda to share the programs and projects that are going to be that they're going to be launching at the end of the month. So I hope you'll enjoy this session. Before we start, I would like to remind you of some of our rules, Conversation Cafe rules. So we want it to be an interactive session, so it would be great if you can put your name, your country, and your organization in the chat, so we always start connecting with one another. If possible, of course, it's better to always see your faces, so please keep your camera on if you're able to. And we're gonna have amazing hosts speakers today. We have 5 of them. You're gonna be introduced by them in a minute. But it's an interactive place, so feel free to always put your questions in the chat. If you want to raise it in that moment, you can raise your hand and wait for us to give you the word. But please keep your microphone open if you have any questions or any comments. There are still people coming in, so I'm a bit distracted. Sorry about it. I'm gonna give the word. You see our speakers and hosts today. We are having speakers from different organizations that you're gonna be hearing about in a minute. And I'm gonna give the word to our first speaker, Caleb, for him to present himself, and then ask the other speakers for presenting themselves. And I hope you enjoyed this session. Please don't forget to put any thoughts or comments in the chat as well. So Caleb, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hira, for this opportunity. We really appreciate, support given by Catalyst Now through the Conversation Cafe. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, team. My name is Caleb Wahungu. I'm the CEO of Matunda Community Development Initiative, abbreviated as MCDI, which is based in Uganda. So MCDI is an government organization with a social enterprise arm that's working in Uganda, focused on advancing community development through sustainable livelihood and grassroots innovations. We have a strong presence across Eastern Uganda, and particularly in the Mount Elgon region. So we work through key thematic areas, including agriculture and livelihood, WASH, circular economy, education and skills development, energy access for the last mile communities, and then financial inclusion. So across, these areas, we particularly, focus on, working with youth and women who constitute to 70% of our target population, ensuring inclusion, participation, and meaningful economic empowerment. We exist to empower community through practical, community-driven approaches to livelihood development, enterprise incubation, and sustainable economic transformation. Within the Thrive Uganda consortium, where we are 3 consortium partners, that is MCDI, SINA, and the USAFI. MCDI serves as a community implementation lead. In this role, we provide overall leadership, coordination, and management of the project. We act at the consortium at the community level, mobilizing youth and women across target communities and ensuring that all interventions remain inclusive, grounded and locally owned. We implement field activities in livelihood, enterprise incubation, and circular economy innovation, while working closely with the local government, civil society organizations, and private sector actors to strengthen sustainability and ownership. We also lead the skills and community, systems work stream, focusing on community mobilization and beneficiary identification, delivery of vocational and enterprise skills training, establishment and management of community hubs and demonstration sites, coordination of community-based facilitators and local mentors, strengthening participation, inclusion, and community ownership. So as an organization with a strong grassroots presence in the Mount Elgon region, MCDI assures that Thrive Uganda remains deeply community-driven, responsive to local needs, and practical in delivery. We also oversee project monitoring, evaluation, and reporting, and accountability systems, ensuring strong learning, transparency, and continuous improvement. Yeah, in essence, MCDI brings deeper community trust, a strong implementation capacity, and established local networks, positioning us to anchor the consortium and deliver measurable and sustainable impact. We are so grateful for this opportunity to really be able to show, case our collective, kind of initiative that we have actually brought together that is actually seeking to impact the lives of so many, people across the Mount Elgon region, and then with so much of the potential to really scale to other parts of the continent. Thank you so much. So over to my colleague, Fred.
My name is Fred Mutenyo. I do work with MCDI. I think MCDI in full has been well articulated by Caleb. I'm a co-founder of the agency. I have a stretch of experience working with non-profit entities that goes over 20 years.
Fred, so sorry to interrupt, but your voice is coming a bit low. Is it possible maybe you put the mic a bit closer?
I don't know. Am I a bit clearer?
Yes, it's way better now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I was just saying that my colleague Caleb has been able to allude to our programmatic focus, but also the geographical coverage of what MCDI does. In my role as a co-founder, but also the director of programs and business development, I basically ensure that we have our program activities implemented, but also engaging in a number of partnerships with other sister or like-minded agencies that are focused on transforming communities and individuals. So I will not speak so much. I'll probably be able to speak to the presentation since most of the bits of what M has been alluded to by Caleb. I would just want to pass the mic to a sister organization, one of the consortium members, that is SINA, to also give an insight in terms of what they do, and then there probably later I'll come in to explain the logic or the strategy behind us getting together as a consortium to see that we kind of implement the activities that have been will be outlined in the Thrive project. Thank you, and over to you, James.
Thank you so much, Fred. I hope you can hear me. Am I loud and clear? Great. My name is James Wanyira, and I am a regenerative educator who is affiliated to the Social Innovation Academy. The short form is SINA. which is one of the organizations that are part of Trive Uganda consortium. And the Social Innovation Academy is a global network of self-organized learning spaces that work toward addressing social challenges through social entrepreneurship, but based on the guiding principles of self-organization and the concept which we call responsibility, responsible leadership, which is leadership that is based on personal responsibility. I've been in the space of regenerative learning for over 15 years plus, and I'm super excited about the consortium and our role as SINA in it. Yeah, excited to be here. You're welcome, everyone who has joined. We have been looking forward to this amazing moment and can't wait to start engaging. I pass the baton to Dr. Solomon.
And Professor Solomon, so sorry. I think you're muted. If you are talking with us, we are not able to hear you.
How about now?
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, wonderful. I was saying, sorry for the hiccup here, a little bit of hiccup, but we'll get through it. No, I was saying good morning to those joining us from the West Coast. I'm here in the United States, and I'm sure there are some that are joining us from the East Coast and the South as well. It's morning time, but I know it's afternoon and evening in some areas. So I just want to say good day. My name is Solomon Belletta, and I am really honored to represent the U.S. Africa initiatives, otherwise known as USAFI, as one of the partners involved in this exciting Thrive Uganda initiative. For USAFI, joining Thrive Uganda is truly a natural extension of our mission to connect diaspora experts with African civic and community institutions to strengthen leadership, to empower youth, and to advance equitable development through systems-driven collaboration, which is what this initiative is all about. Over the last several years, USAFI has worked tirelessly across the continent to build bridges between people, between institutions and partners, to nurture and to foster compelling ideas and strategies. So this I would say is truly in our DNA. Thrive Uganda targets the kind of ecosystem we believe is ripe for the right intervention in creating a more hopeful and vibrant future. Community-rooted leadership, youth and women as drivers of innovation, and partners who bring complementary strengths towards a shared purpose. Thrive Uganda is one of USAFI's emerging flagship initiatives under our ecosystem sustainability portfolio. We have 4 portfolios, and sustainability is one of them. And this portfolio, in my view, captures the essence of our mission to be a catalyst for authentic and transformative capacity building. Therefore, our commitment to this initiative is deep, I would say strategic and long-term. USAFI hopes to contribute in at least 4 specific areas, and I'll go through that very quickly. One is around narrative and systems alignment. We help, along with our esteemed partners, SINA and MCDI to co-articulate the broader story, how Thrive Uganda fits into a continental strategy, a continental movement for youth empowerment, regenerative livelihoods, and community-driven innovation. So that's one area of where I think Wasafi will make a contribution. The second is around diaspora engagement and strategic partnerships. We hope to bring access to diaspora expertise, mentorship, and global networks through Gachi and other platforms that we have created that are interested and ready to invest in African-led solutions. Third, our third area would be around resource mobilization. Wasafi intends to play a catalytic role, again, working closely with our esteemed partners to identify, to cultivate, and to steward funding opportunities across philanthropy, corporate partners, universities, and of course, diaspora investors as well. And last but not least, you will hear, I'm sure from Fred, something called meal monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. We have a readiness implementation plan that gives us the opportunities to support the development of a shared meal architecture that will strengthen evidence, that will improve learning and accountability, which I believe and we believe is essential for achieving scale, replicability, and sustainability of our initiative. So very excited to be part of this initiative, as you can hear from my voice, I hope. But let me also express my deepest gratitude to Catalyst Now for organizing this cafe, for creating a space where vision, collaboration, and possibility can flourish. Thrive Uganda is ultimately about transforming hope, resilience, innovation, and vibrant enterprise. It's about young people who refuse to be defined by limitation, women building new economic futures, and communities stepping forward to lead their own development journeys. As we begin this conversation today, I invite each of us, both partners, but also those that are in the audience, to imagine not just what we can contribute individually, but what becomes possible when we choose to walk and to work together. Our shared narrative starts here today, and its impact can reach far beyond this moment. So thank you for this opportunity, Catalyst Now, and I will now pass it on to my distinguished colleague, Professor Andrew Semwanga from Uganda, who is also a member of the USAFI team.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. And I thank the previous speakers. First of all, I thank Catalyst Now for organizing this venue, this meeting. And I also thank all the members who have come to participate in this event. Thank you very much. And I greet you all. I am based in Uganda, and I serve as the Academic Initiatives Officer for Africa at USAFI. So my role is to see that academic partnerships thrive and grow among African institutions with the US institutions of higher learning. So I want to establish links between academic institutions in Africa with institutions in the US. And for what reasons? Yes, for academic collaborations, that would include exchange of staff, exchange of students, research, joint research and publications, development of programs, and so on. So basically the teaching, learning, and the research. So we want these two bodies to collaborate with one another. But we are also interested in collaborations among institutions in Africa. Makerere University collaborating, for example, with the Juba University, and so on. So we want the south to south collaborations in academic matters and other areas of human endeavor. We are also interested in collaborations between academic institutions and the productive sector. Now, when we talk about the productive sector here, we mean the social enterprises, we mean the NGOs, civil societies. So we want this kind of collaboration to grow, because what we've realized is that academic institutions produce people for the market, and these people who go to the market are not able to satisfy the demands of the market. Maybe because they have been taught programs that don't fit into the requirements of the society. So there is a need for the two parties, academic institutions and the civil society institutions, to collaborate in developing joint programs that can satisfy the needs of the market. So as an academic initiative officer, that's basically my role. But of course, I also support USAFI where it comes to finance, where it comes to corporate governance, and so on. So we work as a team. I'm very excited about this joint venture involving 3 partners, MCDI, SINA, and USAFI. We hope to move together towards sorting out problems of unemployment, problems of underemployment, climate, and so on. So we invite all of you to participate in this venture. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Andrew. And over to Hira.
James, would you like to take us through the presentation already, or is it Fred who's going to take over?
I think Fred could take it on from here to the presentation, and then after him, I'll also say something about SINA, and then we'll move on to the Q&A. So Fred, I think you can take the floor now.
I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you so much. Just as I start, I just want to reiterate what my colleagues have been able to share. We thank you all for joining this discussion as we present an idea that we've built together as entities, which speaks to what we're saying, Thrive, which has already been mentioned in terms of transforming hopelessness into resilient, vibrant in Uganda. But of course, with a bigger ambition and dream that if this is something that we can be able to scale to whatever level that we can scale, especially focusing on Africa as a whole, but the birth of this therefore then becomes Uganda, and that's why you see from the previous presenters, you see that kind of change of metaphorizing into something that can grow up into that space of covering Africa as a whole. But also what is critical is also the element, like what Professor Solomon said, was the diaspora engagements. We know that several of us from Africa in different parts of the world, but getting back to interact with communities back is critical, but also learning from these other areas. So in that spirit, Thrive Uganda has been designed to speak to integration in terms of approach, scalable in terms of what we are trying to say or what we are presenting is something that we believe that can be scaled to transform vulnerable communities, of course, within the Mount Elgon region. Scale in the sense that there are things that we are doing currently, but I think we want to go beyond what we are doing as entities. In a sense, something Caleb said something about what MCDI is doing. We feel that rightful support and with us coming together jointly, we can scale everything that we are doing to greater heights and target more people and address more challenges in terms of vulnerability within the Mount Elgon region, in terms of poverty, climate vulnerability, economic exclusion, into innovative and resilient and vibrant local enterprises based on what we've been able to see with what we've been able to do currently, or what we're doing currently. The essence of us sharing this is to share with you what Thrive Uganda is building, beyond what we have currently. And also, why does it matter? That why should we get to do this in this current space of what we are and where we are? And the mode of work, how, but also focus on issues to do with the strategic partnerships that we think we can partner with everybody who is probably on this call. Those that who are not on this call, that probably there might be some other concepts that we can be able to establish beyond our discussions as three entities that have brought our brains together. Now, we are going to be a little bit give clarity on the relevancy and what we think are things that we are going to transform from the systems perspective, which you remember Professor Solomon mentioned about our engagement with Usafi, that we think that Usafi coming on board, there's going to be this transformation in terms of systems on the way how we do things. So we expect that at the end of this exercise or this sharing, there was going to be clear understanding of the problem that we're dealing with. We shall give confidence in terms of our vision and belief of the implementation model and motivation for people who have joined this call to be able to interact with us so that we can be able to raise the funds and scale the ideas that we have. Next, please. Next slide. So Thrive Uganda, like you said, it's transforming hopelessness to resilient, innovative, and vibrant enterprises. And this, of course, the initial thinking is that we're piloting to do this in the Mount Elgon region, the number of districts. But of course, this terrain is characterized by, of course, being up in the mountains, where sometimes access to those areas is not easy, but they are also prone and vulnerable to climate shocks. And we think that by addressing those needs of those communities, we'll be trying to reach out to people who have been kind of like excluded. So our approach is, of course, using an integrated, climate resilient, circular economy, livelihood models that are designed to transform the vulnerable communities into sustainable enterprise ecosystems. And we think that we can convert vulnerability to resilience. We can also be able to change subsistence to sustainable enterprises within these communities, because they are not reachable, they are hard to reach, but there are things that they are doing. These are areas where you find people grow coffee, people grow bananas, and also there are things that they do. They plant onions, they do several things. They can be able to do additional things in terms of regenerative agriculture that you can be able to, shall be able to look at as you go on to present. Next, please. So why the need? The problem here we're trying to solve is that these are rural communities trapped in interconnected crises. We have the climate shocks, which reduce agricultural productivity. These are areas where we know they are prone to mudslides, and on several occasions people have been, especially when there are rains, they are affected. We know that there's a challenge of the energy poverty, driving deforestation and health risks, because They are close to the mountain on the biomass fuel, and of course there's a challenge of access to that because there are limitations in a sense that some of the areas are gazetted. So in that space they have challenges with energy access, and that speaks to the challenges of the energy poverty. There's limited access to markets because of the terrain itself for the smallholder farmer. Youth and women are excluded from sustainable enterprise opportunities, again because of the rich. And then agriculture and household waste underutilized, because as much as they do their farming, there's a lot of agricultural waste that is got in this household that is generated, which we want to convert, or which we've been trying to convert into productive products. And that's why we think we can be able to use that, as transform that challenge to something that is. In terms of numbers, or some bit of statistics, 70% of Ugandan workforce depends on agriculture, which is true. Approximately 80 to 90% of households' energy needs are met through the biomass fuel, which is firewood and charcoal. And that means there's cutting of trees in these locations and across the country in many parts as well. Uganda loses an estimated 2.6% forest cover annually due to large unsustainable fuel consumption. More than 40% of Uganda's youth remain unemployed or are underemployed, particularly in the rural areas. Climate shocks have reduced agricultural productivity by up to 30% in vulnerable farming communities, for instance, in the Mount Elgon region as well. So the current interventions, of course, definitely are fragmented. So communities need solutions, not only in isolated kind of projects, and that's designing the Thrive project or program, which has a package or comes up with an integrated solution to these challenges. Next, please. So the cost of enacting this is that, of course, in addition to some bit of background or context information, is 3.5 Ugandans in vulnerable rural communities face increasing food insecurity. And raising charcoal and firewood costs continue to deepen household energy poverty. Deforestation continues to significantly degradation and landslide in vulnerable communities, especially the Mount Elgon areas. Uganda's rapid growing youth population faces severe enterprise access gaps, which is a reality because over 70% of the population in the country is youthful. Women disproportionately bear the burden of unpaid labor linked to fuel and water collection, because of course women are the center of these activities in terms of looking for the biomass fuel, but also in terms of collecting water. These are the main roles that women do. Global climate finance and ESG markets are increasingly prioritizing scalable adoption of and resilient models. And we think that some of the models that we are articulating to under Thrive are things that are aligning to the global focus in terms of climate finance, which we think is an area that is not utilized, undertapped into, and we think we should be able to tap into this under the Thrive project. So in terms of strategy, framing of what Thrive is, Thrive then responds to this directly by looking at elements of climate adaptation priorities. We do circular economy transitions, inclusive enterprise development, where in a sense that we include women and involve them in enterprise development, and sustainable development of finance models, where objectives where we think that we can be able to mobilize the resources so that they can be able to support the real needs of the people in the community. And in essence, this is not just a local issue, it is a scalable development and investment opportunity where we can have real transformation of these communities, because we believe that by engaging with the communities, there can be really social transformation, because there is a total buy-in from the communities where we next place. In that regard, next slide please. In that regard, our vision of our success looks like transforming the hopelessness into thriving local economies. a thriving rural ecosystem where communities produce, they earn, and regenerate sustainably. And when we say this, we really mean that we mean to increase the smallholder productivity through smart climate agriculture by between 20 to 40%. We reduce household dependence on traditional biomass, where we can now convert the domestic waste, into energy products, like for instance the briquettes, where people can be able to utilize them for cooking instead of depending so much on the fuel biomass. Converting agriculture and household waste into clean energy, and it goes, we have tested this. There is even a market for the briquettes that are produced, which can be utilized within the rural communities. There is going to be increased household income through diversified livelihood and circular enterprises. Briquettes is an example of a circular enterprise. We've tested several of them. Support women and youth enterprises with inclusive economic participation, because we want them to economically participate in the sense that they are able to get income out of their engagements, and strengthening local market systems and resilience against climate shocks. If we do this, we should be able to strengthen and reduce the shocks. We know that by engaging them, we're able to address that. So in that state, we think that communities will shift from vulnerability to resilience, from waste to wealth, and from aid dependency into enterprises that are advanced or that are developed in a way that lead to enterprise development. Next slide, please. So the mode of how we implement our activities under Thrive have been framed under 4 pillars. We focus on regenerative agriculture, where we build the capacity of the farmers. We engage into increasing productivity. We engage into climate smart inputs, clean energy access, for instance the briquettes, which I have mentioned already, improved cooking stoves, reduced deforestation, circular economy enterprise, where we try to engage into utilizing the waste generated from the household level to be able to convert into energy products. Local manufacturing, where small manufacturing of briquettes in small units that can be utilized at household within the community level. But also, as this is done, there is income diversification for the household, so that they can be able to earn income from different sources. But also keen is our community capacity building, because whatever that we do this from the community level, and we engage the community agencies, like for instance the community-based facilitators that are at the center of the piece of work that we do. What Thrive is that Thrive integrates livelihoods, enterprise development, environment, energy, in an ecosystem that can be scalable, and that's what makes us kind of like different in the space of how we want to do Thrive, or what we're doing at Thrive. Next, please. So what makes Thrive different is beyond the project is building the ecosystem. Distinct features is the holistic across model, revenue generating social enterprise pathways, the circular economy embedded throughout, local led in implementation, because we really engage with the communities, where we work very closely with the community-based agents or champions within the community. We scale and replicable pilot design, because we've tested some of these issues that things that we're talking about at our hubs or the places where we've been working, and ensure that if and involved with others, we can be able to scale what we are doing. There's a strong alignment of the impact investment in a way that at least there's revenue that's generated, because there's a blended financing kind of like aspect or model within Thrive. Thrive is the sustainable systems change, not just temporary interventions. and that's what we think is different from what we've been or what other initiatives have been focusing on. Next, please. So the pilot opportunity, the Uganda pilot is a proof of concept in a way, and we demonstrate integrated delivery, we validate enterprise economics, we measure climate and livelihood outcomes, and the potential matrix for this is that we are targeting over 500 households directly reached in pilot phase. We intend to reach, of course, create around an enterprise opportunities created, thousands of tons of agriculture and domestic waste converted annually into products that can be marketed. But also we think that we should be able to build the capacity of communities to be able to tap into the carbon credit markets and also reduce on the carbon emission through adoption and through deforestation reduction. And 20 to 50% household income improved within these communities, and women and youth representing 60% of the direct enterprise beneficiaries under the Thrive model as a proof of concept. Next, please. So the opportunity where we can partner is, of course, as catalyst partners, we can accelerate the transformation. We can partner on different fronts of grant funding, impact investment, technical partnership, market access support, policy collaboration, and ESG partnerships. Why we think it's important for the engagements to go on is that this is an early stage system that we are building, and I think there's still room for us to engage with different to ensure that we harness this and grow it, just like we came together as entities to be able to see that we start the Thrive initiative. There's a high social return to this investment. If we get together to invest, we see a lot of social return in terms of social transformation within the communities. There's also the circular economy leadership that I think is what is currently on the drive of most of the economic transformation engagements. But also the model is replicable, where we can able to replicate this to several communities. And the key message here definitely is that partners are not only funding a project, they are helping build a scalable blueprint in the space of Thrive, but also beyond Uganda. This is something that we can able to. Next, please. So the investment proposition is such that why Thrive is a catalyst. It's a multi-sectoral impact across agriculture, energy, enterprise, and climate resilience. It has a strong community ownership and implementation credibility. The commercial sustainability pathways, blended finance models, and then of course measurable ESG outcomes included within the Thrive implementation model. Replication has potential for replication in high vulnerable regions, a wider East African region. The growing alignment with the global impact investment trends projected in the trillions of climate adaptation and sustainable development sectors. So Thrive Uganda represents a high leverage investment in resilience, sustainable, and inclusive economic transformations. Next, please. So the pilot, of course, like we said, is within the Elgon region as the geographical coverage target. We focus on climate vulnerability portfolio in terms of reducing land degradation, deforestation, landslide, and poverty. We look at agricultural production potential, youth and women at the center of the opportunity in terms of concentration. And of course, the strategic value offers an ideal proof of concept, environment, need, and ecological significance and recapability potential. So in terms of our vision is that we recommend, of course, there's going to be a regional map that we're going to show, which we can show where we're going to work, but also which shows the climate vulnerability outlay and enterprise opportunity clusters within the region. Next, please. So we have a theory of change that tells us or speaks to what we are doing. We think that this rests on assumptions and inputs and activities, and of course the outcomes, which again we've been able to outline clearly in the bigger document of the Thrive project, and again speaks to some of the pillars that we've alluded out there. And in summary, the Thrive of Change demonstrates the integrated systems intervention that can transform vulnerable communities from cycles of poverty and environmental degradation into vibrant enterprise ecosystems. Next, please. So the financial part of our investment under the Thrive is that this is an indicative funding need, a pilot implementation capital, and infrastructure in terms of equipment, community mobilization and training, and trainings, enterprise incubation, and monitoring and evaluation, working capital support, and strategic funding ranges. Of course, we're saying that it's 1.3 million for a period of at least a pilot of 3 years. The use of the funds is clearly outlined there in terms of the clean energy systems, circular manufacturing, where we've talked about the manufacturing of things like briquettes, the smart agricultural methods, community enterprise support, which we think work through these enterprises, and then the technical assistance that we continue to provide to ensure that the participants or the beneficiaries under this are really targeted. So it's an early catalyst capital to unlock scale in a way that we want to think that once this is done, we can unlock the capital to be able to scale to greater heights in terms of with a similar Thrive model into other areas. Next, please. Thank you so much. That marks the end of what we're sharing under Thrive. Thank you for listening to me, and I pass over to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you for it, Brett. I won't take much time since we don't have that much time left. I'm just gonna pass it to Professor Andrew for him to lead us through the Q&A part of the session.
Thank you very much, Fred, for the presentation. So we have now a session for questions and answers. And I will ask Hira to help me with what is on the chat. Thank you. But of course, we also entertain hands. If you raise your hand, we shall answer you. But also those who have written, we can also check what you've written and try to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Anders. Cindy, you can raise the questions in the chat maybe. And before that, Tavanda, I see your hands is up. So maybe you can start with your question.
Yeah, thank you, colleagues. My name is Dr. Tawanda Madangi. I'm a friend of Caleb Wakungu, whom I understand is the CEO of the program. I'm happy to see you, my brother. I've put my details in the phone, in the chat. I'm sitting here in Zimbabwe. The major question I want to ask to the program staff is, I'm just wondering what sustainable development goal is this program meant to address? I'm saying this because when I'm listening to the program description, I'm not hearing very much about the involvement with national government, with district level, with county, and so forth, because I think it's very important for us to take them along, particularly when I look at the various, at the problem analysis where we are looking at issues around poverty, environment, access to markets for our local communities, young people and the youth and so forth. So I was just thinking that there has to be a very deliberate attempt to work with the various structures at national level. Yes, we are going to build communities to be resilient, to make money and so forth, but so consider, for example, when we say that the access to markets is one of our key problems, we need at some point now in our advocacy strategy to engage with national levels and also with district level and other administrative structures. And also, apart from just building the capacity of the local communities, also building the capacity of the district level or higher administrative structures up to the government level, because I'm imagining where our M&E system is feeding data into the sustainable development goal of Uganda. It's just a broad question I needed just to throw on the table for long-term consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tawanda. May I request, should we go question we answer, we get answers for the question, or we wait for a group of questions? How do you see?
There was one question. I think we can maybe, because you can come up with a common answer. There was one question in the chat from John, who asked, how do we turn such votes into appropriate action on ground after Fred's presentation on the project?
So we have those two questions.
Yes, and I saw
you have another similar question, so that we can have at least three, and then you request Kalebu, of course, James also, to reply.
We also have a question in the chat asking, are you fixed on engaging with and promoting specific projects, or are you also welcome to new ideas?
Okay. So, dear friends, we've got three questions, more or less similar, but of course, with some differences here and there. May I request Kalebu, both Kalebu and James, including Fred, any of you can lead in answering these three questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Andrew. I think I will start with the question number one that was asked by my friend Tawanda. We met a couple of years ago with the minister at the Ministry of Gender, and very excited to actually meet today again in this session. So straight to the question, yeah, we have actually built an integrated approach, yeah, where we are taking on board, different stakeholders, including the local government, the civil society organizations, and then the community, especially leaders, and then, community representatives, especially that we are terming as community-based facilitators. Yeah, it's a broad-based kind of, a structure that we're building so that no one is actually left behind. And in terms of the global, the SGDs, of course, we are also talking in SGD like 13. We're talking about 5. We are talking about 7. That my friend Fred will actually elaborate to specifically also add a couple of them that this initiative is targeting. But it's quite of, I think, the first of its kind in this particular region that has been disadvantaged for so long. that we have community members who are really lacking access, especially facilities where they can actually be able to learn, especially in this modern day, you know, where we are talking about young folks leaving the country to the outside world, seeking for employment, and, you know, it turns out to be something else. So we, as leaders in this particular space, we can't actually sit and wait while, you know, our young folks who are really the pillars of tomorrow are really losing, you know, the mantle for the future, you know, generation. So we really needed to, you know, figure out how we can blending something that's really unique, that fits within, you know, the context in which we are working, especially creating opportunities for jobs, you know, turning our local resources into, you know, products that can actually, you know, get out into the community for them to really use, but also to generate revenue that's much really needed within, you know, our communities. A lot that's actually going out, especially when we talk about the circular economy, a lot that's going out that people don't know how they can actually turn that into, you know, usable products, which connecting with the world, like, you know, Professor Andrew and Professor Solomon said, you know, the knowledge exchange across, you know, different entities, universities, collaborators actually makes this a unique, you know, blend where our people will actually have access to this much needed knowledge to turn things into, you know, and make life much more better. So maybe to my colleagues, you know, James and Fred, to add on those, especially the questions that were asked.
Yeah, so
thank you.
About the question of what was the first? Yeah, the question involving other stakeholders like government, right? So one of the things that is part of the concept note is that we have a broad range of stakeholders. Actually, we're also going to be engaging TVETs, technical and vocational institutes, to help with adding certification to the trainings which we're going to be doing. So that is there. And then the question about, are we open to partners with new ideas? 1000%. In our MOU, we have a clause that much as we have 3 organizations at the moment, we are still open to co-opting new members for the consortium to brainstorm. So yes, you're welcome. Fred.
Okay. Thank you,
yes.
James. Fred, please.
Yes, I think my other colleagues have really tried to allude, but we like of course we couldn't put everything on the slides, you know, to speak to everything, but the questions that have been asked I embedded within the write-up of the concept involving of stakeholders, very taken care of, but we also we just emphasized the community level stakeholders, because that's where they say that's where the rubber hits the road, because that is where we've seen the real issues are. But with one thing that is very striking with our approach is that, you know, we want to tap into the community-led initiatives, the knowledge, and even when we do the capacity building, we don't do from anywhere else. We go in the community. We demonstrate to these people how we can turn the waste from the household into carbonate it and make a briquette, and then use it for cooking, and then you really demonstrate that, you see, this is how you can reduce on the amount of time, on the amount of biogas, biofuel that you can be able to extract in terms of using the fuel. So, but of course, definitely we engage throughout the hierarchy of structures, from the community level through the community leaders, but also the community-based facilitators, our champions whom we work with from the communities, where we have even elements of designing energy cooking stoves, again within the community setup. We are making the bricks within the community setup with a simple technology that we have, but also using the mode of like going to the community through the hubs, you know, the satellite hubs that we have under the concept is that the hub is in the community where people can come and learn, you know, from the different technologies that we're trying to execute. Then you go and implement it within your own community setup. And at the end of the day, we're saying that as all this is done, there is a motive of you to earn income out of this, when you make the briquettes, you can sell within that. You are substituting a briquette with a charcoal, that instead of cutting the tree, you're doing, so I'm just giving a simple example of some of the the way that we intend to execute, we are executing this. So that's the kind of difference that we are kind of like bringing under Thrive. Now, the other thing is the learning does not mind about whether somebody has gone so much to school. If you come to the hub and you can be able to access a computer, maybe to be able to access YouTube, you can learn and try out several things and learn and continue learning until you perfect yourself. So that is the piece that we find. That's why you say that it's a very inclusive, in the sense that you see many people are excluded because they think that is something it's for the educated people. No. MCDI has been implementing a model called design education for yourself. You come to the hub with an idea in your mind and be able to use that platform to be able to learn into something that you can perfect yourself to go and execute within the community setup. So it's a very proactive way of engaging. We've seen it works, and I think that's why we kind of like came together and say we want to expand this, we want to scale this to greater heights, to other places. But we're very, very conversant of the national alignment in terms of like Uganda has the National Development Plan 4, which is out. We have ensured that is aligned to that. The SDGs very aligned. Even the district implementation plans, we have made sure that everything is aligned within the government systems and structures. The other aspect that we're actually trying to ensure is that there's the whole piece of the carbon credit markets. We want to see how we can be able to build the capacity to be able to see how we can measure locally these values, such that a farmer, a small person in the community knows that, you see, if I have a woodlot, I can translate this woodlot into, it has a value. And then once we aggregate this, then we can say, okay, within this community here, these farmers can raise this amount of value in terms of the carbon credit. Then they can be able to earn from these credit markets. So that's what we kind of like want to build at the community level to ensure that people tap into these opportunities. Thank you.
Yeah, and a quick addition, Fred.
James, you have something to add on?
Yes.
Okay.
When Fred talked about the inclusive approach, it's actually our mode of education that we're using, the regenerative model of education. And it's because for these trainings, the circular economy trainings, we're going to be, and this is where SINA actually comes in, we'll recruit community-based facilitators. So the facilitators and the trainers come from the communities, the grassroots. And then we train them in the regenerative mode of learning, the learner-centered interactive learning that unlocks and releases creativity, critical thinking, and agency. And then those trained facilitators will go to the grassroots to deliver the trainings, both for self-leadership and then the innovation boot camps. So and the knowledge remains with them, with all the tools, not us. So that's, I just wanted to add to the inclusive bit by stating that our regenerative model of training is addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Caleb, you have something to add on?
Yes, Professor Solomon, Andrew, I was adding to Fred's submission about the learning mode that happens, where community, take power. And I wanted just to put an example. He has actually used the briquettes, but an interesting one where people are now building solar panels locally with 100% actual materials that are locally sourced. For example, the silicon that's processed from the river sand, and the folks are turning that into solar panels to light rural homes that never actually had, electricity before. It's quite really interesting, especially where communities are, empowered to really be able to do things by themselves and then navigate through, the hardships.
Thank you. I saw a hand with Atukunda. Somebody called Atukunda?
Yes.
Can we hear from Atukunda? Yes, please.
Atukunda had his hand up for a while.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, I'm very excited to be part of this meeting. I want to say one way to my heart is through initiatives that really put the youth at the center. And I was very impressed by Prof. Solomon's submission when he mentioned of the youth empowerment, especially for us here in Africa, where the youth gather the highest demography. My name is Ambrose Radukunda, and I'm an environmental scientist and a founder of a youth-led organization called Green Guardians Conservation Hub. And I'm from Makerere University. So at the same time, an ambassador of a World 2050. My question basically was on how to bring on board the youth-led organizations because I've not seen the best way to collaborate, especially in these critical moments where there is a heightened urgency, global urgency to bring up, to build mitigation, resilience, and adaptation, basically to combat and mitigate climate change. So I wanted to be sure on ways of being on board, especially for us, the youth-led organizations that are very hungry for partnerships and collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrosi. May I request again Karibu and the team to guide us on that question. Thank you.
So I'll just go and explain to Ambrose that, you see, you are very welcome. Our target, and I think since you said you're in Uganda, I think you need to take a trip to the eastern side of where the hub is located, where MCDI is. You will find the biggest majority of people in the hub are youth. And all these things that we're talking about, even in terms of leading our capacity building initiatives at the community level, they are youth who are training mothers and women and other youth in how they can turn waste into briquettes and be able to earn money, how they can be able to turn eggshells that have been thrown out into tiles, at the hub, how we are using the youth to train the mothers and women and other youth to make the soap into, soap that they are going to use after 3 days of community-based training, how they are converting, how they are making gels. There's a lot really that we engage with youth. So one thing that I must say is that we are open to collaboration. We can have additional discussions and see how we can bring the youth on board. Already we have youth, but also having collaboration and partnership with the youth agencies is very much welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, what we can do also, apart from visiting you physically, please indicate your email address, WhatsApp, contact, and so on, so that these people can pick it up and start straight away. So please indicate that on the chat. Thank you. Back to our friend Hila. Hila, do we have anybody? Any questions?
We have a few more questions, but I'm afraid we've already out of time. So I would like us to move forward with the call to action part. But as Professor Andrew suggested, we're going to be after the session. I'm going to be sharing with all the participants the recording of the session and also the contact information with Trive Uganda. So you can always reach out and direct your questions to Caleb, Fred, or whoever is there to respond. But thank you for all the questions and the interest. So I'm gonna now pass the word to Professor Solomon for him to guide us through the call to action part. Thank you, everyone. Oh, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I keep forgetting. So we have come to the end of a very exciting conversation. This really is, by design, a conversation. We did not come in with a fully baked idea to say this is it, take it or leave it, but rather to invite our partners to share and reflect why this matters, but also the audience to learn about this emerging sort of initiative that we have embarked upon, but that has so much potential and promise for the broader in the broader continental space. So I am just been delighted to be part of it. And so as we close this program or bring it to an end, I would like to extend a special invitation to each of you that have joined us today to be part of this journey in any way that you can. I think as Mr. Khaled, Mr. Fred, Mr. James, everyone has indicated, we are open. We're open to collaborating. We're open to ideas. And so we want to build social capital together to make sure that this initiative will be successful and will achieve its intended vision and purpose. I just want to extend an invitation to everyone. And I think because we have run out of time, as you leave this gathering today, I would like you to think about maybe an insight that you would have liked to share that you were not able to share, or a connection or partnership opportunity that was sparked by today's conversation, a resource or tool that could further strengthen our model, or even a question that could push our thinking deeper. So I want to leave you with this to think about, and please let us know. I think our contact information is already in the chat, or Hira will perhaps make sure that it gets added to the chat. There's not enough time to engage you in a very specific call to action, but like I said, I'd like you to think about an insight or an idea, a connection or partnership, a resource, or even a question that this conversation has sparked for you. We want to be able to utilize that and build the momentum. We are building momentum. We want to continue building this momentum for Thrive Uganda, and we need your participation and your support as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to Hira for coordinating this important conversation. We're always happy to come back and share with you updates as this progresses. As a member of Catalyst now, I'm sure that invitation is open. We'll continue to find ways to communicate and to convey our progress to the rest of you. So thank you. I want to turn it back to Mr. Khaled to adjourn our meeting. You're muted.
Thank you so much, Professor Solomon, for that open call to the members who are on this call to really connect and collaborate. So much. We really appreciate for your time that you've really spared to come to this meeting. And we are really super excited, really, that we will actually be sharing with you the progress and progress on this particular journey that we're undertaking. And looking forward to really greater achievements as we really build this together. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You can find the contact information in the chat, but if you have any trouble connecting with anyone in the room, you can always reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to facilitate the connection. So thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
And for taking the time to interact with us today. And thank you all the speakers for their valuable insights.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
nice day.
Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.